gave the lessons was drafted into the service, and so that was the end of that. Well, then there were different people that I played with, like Shigi Erdman. He was related to the Williams in Graz, so they all played instruments. So I learned to play the bar chords from Shigi Erdman in Graz, and then later on in life, I don't know how many years later, 7 or 8, I met Leon Kessler, and I learned to play the open chords. So after I came out of the service, I got the idea of playing for square dances. So the first square dance I played was for a girl that was 16 years old, and we played at the Eck, what's it called, the Eck.
Yep.
And had room for about 4 or 5 rings over there, and my fingers hurt so bad I thought I couldn't stand to finish. You know, I didn't play that much.
Right.
Playing all there, and so then my neighbor Mary Miller, she said, "Shady, get hot or go home." So I didn't get hot and I didn't go home. Well, then a couple of years later after that, I got the idea of playing for square dances. So I played the square dance. I got the idea to run square dances in Lygens, where the roller rink used to be.
Okay.
So there, boy, we used to get like over 300 people on a Saturday night. Well, then Leon Kessler played the fiddle, and then he wanted to get his sister in, and she played the guitar. But she always got a boyfriend, and at intermission she wasn't back anymore. And then they wanted to give her the same amount of money as like I would get her otherwise, and we played all the time. So then one time they said I was going to quit, which I wasn't. So they took that dance away from me, the square dance, the Kessler people. Well, then I got the idea to hold it in Graz, and boy, that was a big success. I made out real good in Graz. They used to have like 250, 300 people on a Friday night, and that lasted for 7 years.
Where did you have those at then?
At the Fire Company Hall.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, just if you want to ask any questions, go ahead. So, you know, anyway, so at the Fire Company Hall, then, and that lasted 7 years till that was from 1946, I think, or something like that, till 55, I think, whatever that was. And then Elvis Presley come along. That was the end of square dancing. Yeah, so I thought, now what? Because they used to stand outside the building and see if there were people were coming, you know. But so I could have, like some of the other guys did, got a bunch of records and played them and had record hops and made, because they used to make like $5,000-$6,000 in those days.
Right.
When they'd have these record hops, you know. But anyway, then I got the idea, I'm going to go play parks and fairs and carnivals, which I did, and so I used to call, like every night I was like on the phone 3 hours, calling people for work. If you didn't call, you didn't get work. Mm-hmm. And then of course I created some of the stuff. And well, then going back, 1947, I think it was, on Channel 8. In those days, you could get on radio on a Saturday, or on television, they had a spot where if you were a band or entertainment or something, you could get on and sing, you know what I mean, for a song or two. Well, then me and 2 other guys, Jim Etzweiler, and I forget who the other guy was, we went down to Channel 8 all the way from Graz to Channel 8. Now, that was a trip.
Yeah.
For me, it was anyway. For a guy who didn't have a driver's license until I was 18 years old, I learned to drive on a new car. But anyway, So then I went down to Channel 8 and I think we sang one song. And that time we went over the Gold Mine Mountain. And what happened, it was in the winter time, you know that last long curve coming down this side? There the water was running over there on the way down. But on the way home it was frozen. And we come up and we hit that ice and my car was slipping and sliding. And I said to the one guy, quick, get off. And in case a car comes the other way, he's going to run into me. And you know what? He almost slipped under the wheel and got run over then because the car was. But anyway, so much for that. Well, then from that appearance in Linglestown, Piketown, Mount Laurel Community Park, they seen me sing there, and they hired me to sing. You know, a show. In fact, I played there about 36 times till the guy passed away, and then the other guy. You know, you can draw 10,000 people, and if the guy doing the booking don't like you ain't getting in.
Right. Yep, that's
well,
right.
This one guy passed away, and that was the end of that job. Although I think you were there at this last year, weren't you?
Yep, just last year.
Yeah,
yep.
So that another guy was doing the book, and I got in there. But anyway, and then I was on WLBR. I started on WLBR in 1952. I had 10 minutes once a month. I had 10 minutes once a month. When I went down to sing on there.
Now, how did you get that? Was that?
Huh?
How did you get that? Was that just
well,
from?
That was free. I went down and I sang to the guy that had charge of the time, you know.
Okay.
And then he thought I was good enough to sing on there. So then that time, Leon Kessler and his sister the three of us sang, and we drove from Graz down to, I think it was 50 miles about from Graz to Lebanon.
Yeah.
And so we drove down there for 10 minutes, played a fiddle tune, and Leon and his sister sang a song, and I sang one song, and then we went home again. So that went for quite a long time. Well, then there was a lot of other bands on the radio there for 2.5, 3 hours altogether, you know. But since I was one of the last ones, I started out with 10 minutes once a month. Well, then what happened is one day I came down and they said, you can have 30-minute show. This one group that had it, they quit. So they gave me a 30-minute show on WLBR Lebanon Radio, AM 1270 it was. Well, anyway, then I got sponsors from Graz. Yeah, S.O. Smelts grocery store, Letty's radiator shop, then Reed's furniture store. He came at the last minute. For some reason or the other, he turned me down the first time, and then at the last minute, on a Saturday, I was ready to leave for the station. He come and said he's gonna sponsor. That's 3 of them. I said, who else was it then? Oh, and then of course one day, well then I had about 5 or 6 sponsors for that show. Well then more of the other guys were starting to quit on the WLBR radio. So as they quit, I took their place and got sponsors. Well then one day I stopped in at Whitmer Motors, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so I sold him a half-hour show. And he had that for, as long as he was in business. No, Dick Whitmer.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it was. You know, sometimes you can advertise for somebody and you can't get no results. But I don't know what it was about Whitmer Motors and Al Shade. But I sold a lot of cars for him. He could have gave me a new car every year. And he'd been good.
Yeah.
But I bought them. So I bought my Mercury. But yeah. And well then, you know, when you're on the radio, it's a very competitive business. I mean, you always get pushed around. That's what used to upset me in WLBR. Well, when I started on the radio there, they didn't have the baseball games on, and then they didn't have the football games broadcasting on radio. Well, so when they got the baseball games on, then they shoved me around to a different place.
Yep.
And then when they got the football games on, then I had to work around them, and after a while they shoved me to a different place, you know. And this got me so upset, because every time you got moved around, well, are my listeners going to be follow me? Which I guess they did, because I still kept on going. Well, then one day, because of that, I made up a contract, and I gave it to the owner of WLBR, what I wanted, you know. And boy, did he get mad. As far as I'm concerned, he said, "You're fired. I don't know what my partner's going to think, but you're fired." Now, before that, I recorded a song called "I'm a Star in WLBR," a song that I wrote that tells exactly the way I started. Okay, well, that was on a Thursday when he said, "As far as I'm concerned, you're fired." Well, that Saturday, that record was completed, and I had it, and I played it. And when I played that record, everybody was calling the radio station on the telephone, so they decided they're not going to fire me. So that was one time. But then, after a while, I did quit there, and I moved to, well, and then, you know, while I was on WLBR radio, I was also down in Hanover, WHBR radio in Hanover, Pennsylvania. Down there I had an R. And boy, did I get a lot of jobs to play down there. And then the owner said, "You know, Al, you got more accomplished here in 3 months than some of the other country guys that have been here for a couple of years." So, I don't know, but it seemed when I got all the guys that I sold down there, I got results for them. And I kept them on the air until after 20 years, I left down there then, because I wanted to slow down, you know.
Right.
So, you want to ask any questions?
So you had your own band, right?
Oh, yeah.
What did you do, like, with them? Like, did you travel around with them, or?
Okay, well, yeah, that's right. Now, I'm talking about myself all the time. I got to talk about my partner, too, because I think, of course, when I started to be on the radio, I played, Shorty Long and Dolly Long were very popular in Reading area. Very popular. And they had a park called Santa Fe Ranch outside of Reading. So they had what do you call it? You get on talent shows. They had a talent show, and that Sunday I went out there and got on the talent show, and I won the talent show. Well, after that, I was sitting in the car smoking a cigar. I was feeling good, you know. I won the talent show. I didn't get nothing for it, but I won it. Here, 2 girls come along, the Guestport sisters, Jean and Joanne. They came up and they knocked on my car door, said, "We listen to you on the radio and we sing too." And they were telling me, you know. Well, I said, they sat in the back of the car then and they sang for me. And I thought, these girls are good. So I said, come down to the station on Saturday. And at that time there was a guy up there, they called him Niggerty Nackerty. Niggerty Nackerty na. And some of the guys in Graz put me up to bring him down and sing on the radio. He sang, I don't know, I can't explain how he sang, but anyway, it was funny. But when they heard Jean and Joanne sing, oh, everybody had a fuss about Jean and Joanne. And all the other bands tried to get them. But I don't know what it was about me, but they stayed with my band, you know. For 12 years, Gene and Joanne, the Sketchford sisters, sang in my band. And like I say, I don't know what it was that they stayed in my band, but I know after a while why they, because a lot of other guys, bands that were better than me at the time being, like the Blue Ridge Boys, they were really good, and they wanted to get him in their band, but I didn't know it at the time being, but Jean liked me, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And if she wouldn't have liked me, well, they'd have left me a long time ago. But I never knew that she liked me, because I didn't pay no attention to the girl. Because my thing was, I only want to play country music. I'm never getting married, you know. I'm just going to be in country music. Well, one day I found out that Ned Bixler was the bass player. He wanted to take Jean on a date, and she said, no, she likes me. And then he told me this. So I thought, okay, well, I took her to the Bloomsburg Fair then on a date, and of course, after a year we got married, you know. So, and then here's another thing. You know, when Jean and I got married, we never sang together. Did you know? I never thought about that till some time ago. When we got married, we didn't sing together because she sang with her sister, you know.
Mm.
So then after 5 years or so, whatever it was, then Joanne got married, and then to Gus Thomas, and they left for Wheeling, West Virginia, and then Jean and I started to sing together. And luckily, it was a good combination because Jean was a big factor in my success. I mean, I had the ideas, but it was just one of those things, you know,
Mm-hmm.
that she was with. So, okay, that's so much for that.
What were you talking about with like the fairs or whatever?
Oh, like, which do you mean?
With like the talent agent or whatever?
Oh, you were in charge of booking down at Williams Grove, right?
Oh,
For a
yeah, well,
while.
see, that was my idea.
Right.
See, one day I was over there and I seen this big outdoor building. And I went and talked with the owner, Bob Richwine. Oh, he said, I can't get nobody in here. I said, well, I said, I'll come over here, I won't charge anything, but if we draw people, then I'm going to charge them so much. So he agreed to that. So me and my band, me and Jean and my band that I had, we played there on a Sunday, and we filled the place up. He didn't charge anything, you know. So then I got the idea, you know, this would be a wonderful place to book the grand old people that started down in Nashville that were popular, because if it rained, it wouldn't rain the odds, you know, in the building. Well, so he agreed, so I did the booking. Now, I couldn't, you had to have you wanted to book these stars, you had to get a booking license from the American Federation of Musicians.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so then I applied for one, because I was going to have it in the garage, you know. But no, I couldn't do that because the garage is attached to the house. Now, if there was that much space between the garage and the house, I could have my agency in there, and I could get. So I couldn't get a booking license. So what I done is, I did all the calling and all the booking, but the owner, I had him sign the contracts.
Okay.
You know, that way it made it
Right.
legal, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So that lasted about 7 years, I guess. And you know, all the other booking agents around, they're all the time trying to take the job from me. So finally, after 7 years, he gave in to somebody else. And it lasted about 2 months, and that was it.
Hmm.
You know? because, you see, I was on the radio in Lebanon. I gave him free promotion who was going to be there at the park on Saturday. On Hanover, I gave the free promotion who was going to be there. And if I played somewhere at a carnival on 2 or 3 times a week, I promoted it. So we always, not always had good turnouts, but most of the time we had good turnouts there. And then I booked Loretta Lynn. Well, she came and she didn't have a band. She was just getting popular. So luckily my band was there, so we backed up Loretta Lynn with my band one time. Lynn Anderson, I booked her a year in advance for $200.
Wow.
But nobody knew Lynn Anderson at the time. She was only 17, you know.
Mhm.
But in that year's space, till her job was due at the park, she had the hit Rose Garden. Big hit.
Yep.
Well, she came, and then she had trouble getting there on time. She just got there about 2 minutes before showtime because her plane was late, and then I don't know what. And then when she came in with her car, the car engine wouldn't stop. It's what they call dieseling. So
Mhm.
I went and stalled that out. She ran, and then we backed her up with our band again, you know. So Lynn Anderson. Then also, one time I booked Connie Smith, and she came with her band, but her acoustical guitar player didn't show up. So she was gonna, so she asked me to play the guitar. I said, well, you don't need me, it's just a guitar that's acoustical. No, she wanted to have me, Connie Smith. So I stood in there, and some of the songs that I didn't recognize, the bass player used to holler to me, C, D, the chord, you know, to play. But when I said I do, I said, now Connie, I ain't gonna play it just for $10. That you know, Mac Wiseman was a bird for that. He never had a band most of the time. He had other guys that played bluegrass. That was a great honor for him to back up Mac Wiseman, you know.
Mhm.
And he gave maybe $10 or maybe nothing. But that was an honor for them. But I was never like that. So anyway, when it was over, she gave me $50. I said, well, she said, that's what I pay my players. Well, I said, well, they drove all the way from Nashville, Tennessee to play up here, and they got to go back again for $50, and you're paying me the same. No, she wanted me to have it, so I took it then. But I'd have glad with $20 I'd have been happy with, you know, at the time being.
Yeah.
Now we're going back to the 60s, you know
Right.
that, yeah.
Yeah.
The 60s and the 70s and the 80s. That's when traditional country music was very popular. Baron Young, Katie Wells, Johnny and Jack, Mac Wiseman, Jim and Jesse, the Virginia Boys, Charles and Ira Rubin, Baron Young, Katie Wells, Connie Smith, Loretta Lynn, Lynn Anderson, Wanda Jackson, all those were popular at that time, plus a lot of others, you know. So, but it's a funny thing. Over there at the park, if I came in there about 12 o'clock, I could always tell it's going to be good today or it's not going to be good. Now, Willie Nelson, he was just, he was started out as a songwriter, you know, Willie
Yep.
Nelson. And he was I would say in his 30s, I guess, when I booked him at the park. And we only had about 50 people when he was there. I felt sorry for him, but he was a nice man. And you know how Willie Nelson looks today, don't you?
Yeah.
When he came in there, he had a beautiful blue suit, brand new, patent leather shoes, a bow tie, white shirt, and and those days he had this thick curly black hair,
Yeah.
you know.
Clean cut.
But he didn't get popular until he played a hole in his guitar. And well, anyway, that's the way it is. So, yeah.
Now, how far away did you play? Like, what's the furthest
Me?
away you played? Yeah.
Well, the furthest we played was Idaho.
Idaho.
Idaho or Iowa, I forget which one it was. We were, they out there, they elected us into their country music hall of fame.
Yep.
Out there in Idaho, yeah. So there's a big crowd out there.
Mhm.
And that's where I met a lot of the other country entertainers too from Nashville, you know. So, yeah. But one thing I have to say about the country, most of the, I would say 99% of the entertainers that I met, they were all so very nice. They were. All so very nice. Even Farron Young, they never wanted to play 3 shows. I don't know why, but Richwine wanted 3 shows at the park. Well, most of them only wanted to do 2 shows because they did the same thing every show. They said the same words. They never had, you know, when I used to go out with my band, there was on Lonnie Park. We had to do 5 different shows. And we always did all new songs in every show out there. So it wasn't all like that, you know, but it was really something.
Yeah.
But Farron Young said to me, but, you know, Al, he says, I'd never do 3 shows for anyone but you. I don't know why. And then he also said, Al, when you come down to Nashville, look me up, I'll make a steak for you. Well, that was a crock. I'll tell you why. One day, Gene and I was in Nashville, and for some reason or the other, we were out at a golf course. And here I seen it over Jimmy Newman and Farron Young coming toward us. And we were, I said, there's Farron Young, let's go over. And when they seen we were coming over, they did a bad face and went away. He was a character, that Farron Young, though. Good entertainer, though. Yeah.
Where were some of your favorite places to play?
What?
Some of your favorite places to play?
Oh, let me see. Favorite places to play. Well, I think every place was a favorite place to play because we were lucky to get in, you know. So I can't think of anything that was a favorite place. There was, let's see, I'm trying to think. Oh, okay, I can answer that. I think my favorite place to play was Lawn. You know, Lawn down here was just a little town outside of town. The funny part about this is, I played very seldom a show in the city of Lebanon. But whenever I did, it was a flop. Never could draw anybody. I was on the radio 3 hours there for a week, you know, for a long time.
Yeah.
But Lawn, it's about 5 miles outside of Lebanon, the little place. Oh, we always packed them in there. Yeah, we always packed them in at Lawn. And the smaller carnivals. And then another thing, you know, when we went out playing, if it rained out, we only got a couple dollars for transportation. Because if it never pay you. One time, the whole band went with me on my van on a place down in York, outside of York. And when we came down there, it just rained and rained and rained. So they couldn't hold the carnival. So I charged them $3 for gas to drive all the way down there. And they said, well, this is the last time we're going to book you. Can you believe that? And another time I had that was a little bit upsetting. And this too was down there. Well, it was only about 7 miles further than Lawn. And there was a guy, a kid, only 12 years old. And he was kind of distant relation, you know. And he played the fiddle, excellent. He practiced and played the fiddle that much that he had a big brown spot, size of a 50-cent piece, under his chin from holding the fiddle there. Well, I booked him as a fiddle player because the fiddle player I had couldn't make it. Now, so when he showed up, I hadn't known this, but the day before he was on television. Anyway, did we have a big turnout there? But because he was new and on each other, before we went on the show, we went over several songs, you know, so we knew what was going on. So he knew what was going on, so he knew what to play. Well, what happened is we got on the first show 15 minutes late. After the second show that we had done then, they sold all the food they had at that carnival. Everything, and they had a tremendous turnout. But when they come to get paid, they knocked off $50 off of my price because I was on the first show late. So that's what I was going to pay the kid to help. So that's one of the stories there. Yeah. But most of the times, now since I lay back in bed sometimes and think, you know, that just like I thought, well, that was fun. Even Gene and I got married, we never sang together. I never thought about that at the time being. I'm just thinking about a lot of these things lately. And like when I did something, I never thought of well, suppose it doesn't turn out this way, you know. I never thought about that. Like the first time that I recorded an album in Nashville, I recorded at Columbia Recording Studios. Well, the first two albums we cut here in my house, but the third album, The Little Dogwood Tree, that was a poem that some lady in Annville wrote, and she gave to me to put music to it. So there's about 10 poems, and I picked this one up. I can still see myself sitting on that piano bench there, and looking at this and putting the music to it in my head, you know. And that Little Dogwood Tree, I don't know what it is about that song, but that was my best-selling record I ever recorded. But I never thought when I was going to Nashville, because when I went down there, that was going to cost me about $10,000, you know. Now today that probably would cost $75,000
Right, yeah.
for to make that same album. But anyway, so Gene and I, and you know, in those days the new roads weren't in yet when we went down there. So we drove all the way to Nashville, you know, Gene and I, and it was a long trip for us, so we never did this. And they come to the Columbia Recording. So we went in there. Well, nobody told us a thing. We know what to do. So we went up, a mic for Gene and a mic for me. So then, before we started the record, I don't know why, I went over to check out Gene's mic, and here it wasn't even on. So then they decided to put us on one mic. It was a big fat mic. And, but 1 month before we went to Nashville, we sang those 12 songs every day for 1 month before we went down. Because if you go down and record, you can only cut it once. At least that's what they told us. If you make a mistake or something, well, they're not going to do their part over. You can do your part over, but not that. They do it once. That's the backup musicians, you know. Okay. So then Gene and I started to sing the first song, which was The Little Dogwood Tree. Well, we sang about 3 or 4 lines of it, and all of a sudden, some guy come running out, and they took the mic down and put another mic up. Evidently, I don't know what it was about the mic, wasn't good for us, I guess. Because, you know, every mic can give you a different sound, you know. whatever it is about your voice. So the band, all the backup musicians, I was lucky because they were the best at that time in the business. Did you ever watch Larry Steiner
No.
on Saturday night? You never did.
No.
Well, anyway, on there is a guy that plays the lead guitar that played on my album in those days,
Mm.
and he played on thousands of sessions. That guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, and I never can remember his name. I have it written on a piece of paper, so if I have to, I can pull it out and look. So, any other questions?
So when you went down there, you just booked the studio time and the musicians. Is that what you did?
Well, I did everything, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I did. I did everything. Now, Bill Anderson, you know, I had booked him at Williams Grove Park. And there was a wonderful guy, too. Oh, such a nice guy. And I asked him a lot of questions, and he suggested that, I guess that's how I got into the Columbia recording studio, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But that was one of the big names in those days.
Right.
But anyway, and then the guy, they called him an A&R man. Well, I don't know what they do, but I never see him do anything. But anyway, before we went in the studio, we went over to see him, and he asked us to sing. So I guess he liked what he heard, because he didn't say nothing. But anyway, but when he came back in the studio, I don't know what he done, because I never seen him do anything. But he must have done something, whatever he done, you know,
Mhm.
talk to the engineers or. And then I also had Lloyd Green on the steel guitar, and he's a very popular steel guitar player, you know. Yeah. I had all the guys that were the top dogs in recording musicians at the time being.
Yeah.
And in fact, the A&R man, later on, all those songs, you're familiar with Tammy Wynette, right?
Mhm.
Or the big sound she got?
Yep.
Well, that A&R man was the one that I had that got the sound for Tammy Wynette, you know. So,
How many,
Yeah.
how
I
many
was so
albums?
lucky so many times, you know what I mean? You know, I could have called up a studio and got a backup band.
Yep.
And, go ahead.
How many albums did you make?
I think it's 24. Yeah.
And what was your favorite one?
Well, the little dogwood tree, yeah. And then the first one I recorded downstairs in the basement with my own band. And that one sold over in Ireland and over in Canada.
Really?
Yeah. I can tell you a little story about Ireland too. This guy sent me a check for 200. He called me up on Pennsylvania Mountain People. That was a like 5-string banjo and fiddle, a little bluegrassy, I guess that. But I used to have the sideman that I could get, you know what I mean? Because in those days there weren't many people around that played, you know
Right.
what I mean? So, and then I recorded the chime bells, a yodel tune, and that helped to sell that record. Yeah, that really did. But anyway, this guy from Ireland, he called me up and then he ordered 200 of my first album, Pennsylvania Mountain People, and he sent me the money. Well, after about 6 months, he wrote back and he said he wants 200 more, but he didn't send any money along. So I thought, well, he trusted me the first time he sent the money. I'm going to trust him. I never heard from him. So that's that. Okay.
Did you write your own songs?
Yeah, I wrote quite a few songs. Yeah.
Was it hard to write your songs, or was it?
Well, you know, I was so busy doing everything else, like with like a record albums. I had to take them to be like Allentown Record Company used to do my. That was amazing, you know. They had a hunk of acetate like that in your hand. They had it there, and a big stumper comes down. Boom! And there's all on both sides. There's everything on the record.
There's
Isn't
the
that
record,
amazing?
yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, now tell me again.
Was it hard to write your songs?
Well, no, it just come out of nowhere, you know. Like here, about 6 months ago, I was standing in the kitchen. Oh, I had lost my glasses. 3 days I looked all over. I can't find my glasses. And I'm standing over there at the table, said, "Glasses, glasses, where are you?" And when I looked down, there they were. And yet I had looked there 3 times before. But anyway, well, see, now 3 Mile Island, you know. That, oh, I'm going to give this to you. Here. I'll give you this as a souvenir here. Here's the CD of 3 Mile Island. And here, when you start to cook, the Jean's cookbook. And our picture's on the back there, so you have that then. I just found that again, that cookbook.
Did you?
Yeah, okay. 3 Mile Island. I was in the back bathroom shaving. Now this was just a couple of days after the accident at 3 Mile Island. And the sun never shines in that back window. And all of a sudden a ray of sunshine come in there and it kind of flashed on me. And I was happy anyway. I started to sing, "Potter County was made by the hand of God, but the devil made 3 Mile Island." I didn't think nothing about it before that. That's what just came out of me. I thought, hey, that's an idea for a song. So the next day or so, I looked in the newspapers and took out certain words. I listened to news broadcasts and wrote down certain words. And then on a Thursday, I said to Jean, "I'm going to write this song. Go do the shopping. I want to be by myself." Okay. Right over there on that piano bench. And so I'm amazed myself at what I do sometimes. I can't believe it. So I wrote all this stuff down, and about 3 hours later, Jean comes back. I said I have it all together but one line. I read it to her, and just like that, she said, "May Jesus see you through." Can you believe that? Yeah, that was the song. That was on a Thursday. Friday, I called up Nashville, Tennessee, made arrangements to record it, and on Monday morning, we're down in Nashville. I pulled into a place where a service station had gone out of business. I said, "You know, Jean, we're crazy to spend $10,000 here." I said, "Suppose it doesn't be no good. Let's not do it." That would have been a dirty trick on the guy anyway, but she said, "No," she said, "we're here, we're gonna do it." So we did. And so we did, and we cut that album. But what I could never figure out is why normally I just hired a band, 6 musicians, but this time I hired a band plus 4 backup singers. And this one guy, he was 2 guys, they were about 6 footers, and this one guy had an afro haircut. You know how they are.
Mm-hmm.
You and I don't have hair like that anymore. But anyway, stood out that big like that. And then this one girl, she could sing that high voice. Ooh, make like a siren, you know. And she said that she's only one of 2 women that can do that. In the whole world, I guess, or whatever. So, and she came in with jeans, cowboy boots, and she must have been in the constable because there was straws sticking out of one of her boots. But now how can they sing that song? We didn't rehearse. How can they do that? They never heard that song. I just, they just done it there on the spot. I don't know how ever they done it, but they done a wonderful job. Yeah. Yep, that album came out very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's just an old long-term memory. It's another song we have on it, and that silver-haired daddy of mine. You know, we just that time we didn't rehearse over those songs like that first one we recorded.
Hmm.
That was just picked them out and a couple of that we knew, you know, and
Right.
learned too. But I never could figure how they do that. Yeah, the band and
Yeah.
everything. You know, how did they know? Because on that part, and that's another thing. I heard one of the guitar players said, "Oh," he said, "this is going to be something. I don't think he's going to be able to do this." But we did it on one cut, because there's talking and everything on it, you know. Yeah.
Hmm.
So that's how that happened at 3 Mile Island. But they did the right oohing and everything at the right spot. And like when it started off, woo, you know, like something exciting. Yeah. Okay.
And so you said you got into the radio business. Did that come before or after you formed the band?
Oh, well, that came afterwards. Yeah, because when I was about 17 or 16, I guess, I don't know, was when I played that job at the Egg.
Mm.
You know, we got $1 apiece, and we were on top of the world for 3 guys, got $3. Just played the birthday party for them.
Mhm.
And they put sawdust on the floor to cover up the grease that time. So, yeah, because then, see, I was, when I was 21, I was drafted in the service in 1949. And then when I come out of the service, it was 1952 till I started on radio after I got out of the service. I was only in the service a year. So,
Did your family get involved with the music business later on?
my dad used to get sick of hearing me sing. Yeah, so I used to sit in the living room. I went in the living room to sing. Anyway, when I was in my teens, and I was so bashful, you know what I mean? And when I first went on stage, my heart pounded a mile a minute. I could hardly breathe to sing. But when I used to sit in the living room in front of the house, a lot of times people would sit on the swing on the porch, you know, and listen to me sing. But I remember sitting on the porch swing after I first started on the radio, WLBR. Me and my dad sitting there, and some guy come along, and they were talking in Dutch about this guy said, "Oh, he's on the radio." I was just had started not too long, and my dad said in Dutch, "Oh, he won't last long driving all the way down there." But I lasted pretty long.
Yeah.
I'm still here.
Yep.
Yeah. But it's something about it. And today, even today, I think I love music more than I ever did. So, yeah. Last night I was looking around on TV and Tom Jones was on. I couldn't believe how different he looked.
Mm.
But he sang a song I wish I could get the background music for, because, it just made you want to go, you know. Yeah. Yeah. And then last night I seen Clint Eastwood too. But he, not on a movie, how he is today, doing things, directing.
Yeah.
And you know, he was a handsome man, but does he look horrible? Oh, he's got gaunt and terrible.
Mhm.
His head is smaller and everything, you know, shrunk. I couldn't believe it. So anyway, that's
What were your favorite parts about your music career?
what speak louder.
What was your favorite parts about your music career?
My favorite parts
Of your music career?
of my music career. I think it was all favorite. Yeah, because it was just whenever I just got an idea and I went and done it, you know.
Mm.
So I don't think there was anything that was better than the others, because I was always learning, always learning. It was always something new, a new challenge, you know. and you know, like things just come out of me. Like about 6 months ago, I was standing over there, and I started to sing. I yodel on the mountains, I yodel on the hill, I yodel on the radio so I can pay my bills. I never thought about it; it just come out of me. You know what I mean? I wasn't thinking about it. So that's the way. Now a lot of songwriters, like in Nashville, they sit down and with an idea, you know. Now a senior moment, I wrote that song. Did you ever hear that?
I'm not sure.
Yeah. I am a senior citizen. I'm always out of time. I never have no money, not even a dime. Medication so expensive, the druggist gets it all. In spite of all my aches and pains, I'm having a ball. You know, 4 verses. Well, I got the idea for this, but that took me 2 years to get that together. And the way I got that together was that's the time we were out in Idaho or Iowa, where they, you know, got us into their
Okay.
what do you call it, to their organization out there. But anyway, so on the way home, that was a 3-day trip. So I said to Gene, you do the driving, I'm going to write this song. So till we got home, I had the song together. Yeah. So, and then the Pennsylvania Waltz, I wrote that a long time ago too. And the funny part about that is, I wrote that before I knew Gene. And there's so much about that song that kind of pertains to us. Like, I'll always remember that night in September, and we got married in September the 5th, I can't remember the date offhand right now. That's it kind of slides in and out of me, you know. But yeah, it's that song actually pertained to Jean a lot, a long time before I even knew her. That's the funny part too, you know. Yeah.
So did you always write songs then, or is that something that came along later? It sounds like you always
Well,
kind of had the ideas.
when I was, even when I was like 12 or 13 years old, I used to write. I used to do things too, you know. So I just used to make up things, but I never did anything about them. You know, not a song, but I think if I would have, but see, I was always too busy to sit down. Whatever song that I wrote just happened to come to me, just like that. You know.
Yep.
Yeah. Just like everybody's about yodeling, you know. I never practiced yodeling, you just could do it. And then the one nice part about that is Gene also could yodel, but the harmony yodel, you know, like this one thing that we done the Twin Swiss Moonlight Harmony Yodel that I put together. Goes yodelay, 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 and she always did exactly the same thing. You know, she never made a mistake. Harmony. And so with that yodel, there were 15 people in the yodel contest in Sugar Creek, Ohio. That was about 2008, I think that happened. We went out to Sugar Creek, Ohio, because of the yodel contest. And there were 15 people there in the yodel contest. Ireland and Germany, France, but mostly from the U.S. And I did a yodel tune, I didn't win. Jean did one by herself and didn't win, but when we done that one together, we won the yodel contest, yeah, over everybody. And you know, there was over 10,000 people there. Oh, you know what we got though for the a lousy $10. I just happened to find some information about that Sugar Creek, Ohio. So I found out they're still running the yodel contest every year, but I sent the people a note and told them what I thought about for the lousy 10 books that won the yodel contest. I don't know, I wonder what they thought when they got the letter, so I wrote it to them. Anyway.
So you said you were really busy with everything going on. Did you have any other jobs besides your music?
Well, yeah, when I first worked in the shoe factory, and then I had to do so many different jobs, and I wanted a raise, and he wouldn't give me a raise, so I quit. Then I got a job in the shirt factory. I was on a single needle sewing machine, the only man in the Regal shirt factory in Millersburg, and all the others were women. And did they love to tease me? They had me blushing most every day a couple of times. But anyway, I used to do this hair, the facing in here, you know. You had to put the facing on each side, sew it down. This one side you sewed one seam, this one you had to double over and sew. I used to do 125 double dozen of those a day. I was the best on the sewing machine. For 12 years I worked in the shirt factory doing that, and then when I was playing, when I started the square dances, then, you know, I was working there in the shirt factory, and I got to thinking, you know, on a Friday night, I pay 3 guys $8 apiece. I paid $10 rent for the hall, and after everybody's paid off, I paid my brother down to collect. I had 100 to 125 bucks in 1946, 47, and 8. You know what I mean? And I was working in the shirt factory for 17 bucks a week, as fast as I could go. 5.5 days a week, 17 bucks, 18 bucks. So I figured, I quit. And you know, and then of course, then I started to play the parts and stuff too, you know, when the square dances quit. Now don't mention that on their program, the amount of money, you know. But anyway, yeah, I was, and I didn't realize, actually I was making more money in those days than like the Lubin brothers and those that were popular from Nashville, because I didn't have no expense. I was
Right.
operating out of the house, which I am today, you know, operating out of the house. Anyway, but then after a while though, when everything started to gel down there, that, you know, they made millions, you know, to some of these guys, because they sold millions of records. Now with me and my records, I never sent my records out to any other radio stations because I knew they wouldn't play them. But the way I sold my records was on my shows, and because I was on radio all the time, I played my own records, you know. So, you know, there's some time there for a long time, I was on radio for 8 hours a week, you know. So, I went hunting to Alaska and the Yukon, and I recorded shows that high, tapes.
Oh, yeah.
So they had them to play while it's on.
Mm-hmm.
So do you still plan to continue performing?
Oh yeah, I'll never quit. Not as long as I can go. I got 3 jobs next week.
Do you really?
Yeah, I got 8 jobs altogether this week. And a month ago, some lady booked me for 2020. I can't believe that. I can't believe that. Yeah.
Where are you going next couple? What do you booked? Where are you at?
Oh, well, see, I play mostly for assisted living places.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you know, like Millersburg, Oak Place. I played up there in January, and then there was this guy that's related to me. He's down in Nashville now. He's playing around he used to play for Bill Monroe and all those, you know. Anyway, so I wanted to see what he done. Because you always learn from someone else a little bit. I wanted to see what they do, you know. Anyway, so I went up to Polk Place again in Millersburg when he was supposed to be there, and he forgot about being there. He didn't show up. So they said, "Oh my goodness!" So they booked. So I always have my wagon with everything along, you know. So I played there again. And then they said they took a collection up from the nurses. Besides paying my fee, they gave me a $40 tip.
Huh.
I couldn't. I mean, those things I can't believe, 'cause you know, just happens like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'll never quit because it just and then because a lot of times I'm older than most of the people that I'm singing to at assisted living, and it makes them so happy. They're you know, so that makes me feel good, you know, gives me a feeling. Yeah. One time I was so happy I walked into the garage door. Then when I was getting on the car, you know what I mean? I was happy that morning. I wasn't going fast, but and actually a couple of months ago, Debbie comes in driving up here, and something fell on the floor. When she reached down, she stepped on the accelerator
Oh, no.
and ran into the garage door again. But it's still working. The last time, I can't believe how it was twisted up in there. I thought I'm going to have to buy a new garage door, but no, it still goes up and down. He fixed it. Oh, then I daren't forget about my daughter, Debbie, you know. Well, you know, Farron, he sings a little too. But he's out in Allentown. So, but Debbie right now is taking her place of her mother. She sings, you know, but only if I have a job on a Saturday or a Sunday. And so this Twin Swiss Moonlight Harmony Yodel, Debbie never yodeled in her whole life. About a year ago, she says, she'll want to help me do that yodel. Well, I said, you can yodel. Yeah, she says, I practice. And you know what? She did it exactly like her mother. Just that one yodel, I don't know what. That really surprised me. Debbie loves to sing too, you know. Well, she was, as a kid, they were brought up with, you know,
Yeah.
Farron and Debbie. So we took them along every time.
So are you where are you playing next week? Like,
Well, I'm going to be about 15 miles north of Boyertown is one job. And then the other job is, the other job is outside of Montjoy. And then the other job is down at Adamstown. So, yeah.
still keeping you busy.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And you know, I never know the names of the places, but I know how to get there. And sometimes I have a time to find them, too. So, this place again, I got to check that out that I'm going on the Tuesday. That's a little tricky to get to. Now, this guy says come out 422, but there's so many stop signs and everything, so I go out to Leesport and out that way, back through the sticks to get up to Boyertown, and then so I'm back there. But that's going to take me an hour and a half to get there. That trip there. Oh yeah.
I think I don't have any more questions.
You got what you need?
Yeah.
So I'll ask this. How did you get Dad interested in playing bass for you?
Who?
Junior.
Oh, well, Junior, yeah. When I first went around and started to sing, you know, like I still remember at Elizabethville I was appearing. And like Montjoy and different places. and every time Junie would be showing up. Well, I couldn't believe it. Him and Rob, or what's his name he traveled around with? You know the guy that he traveled with? Rob, or what was his
Not
name?
offhand, I don't know.
Well, anyway, him and this other guy and their wives, they all showed up at a lot of carnivals that I played at. And, well, also, okay, so, yeah, and I didn't realize what it was, but he got interested in it then, you know. Now, and I know when he first, what happened is this Ned Bixler, he got up, he didn't want to play the bass anymore. So I thought, now what am I going to do? How am I going to play square dances without a bass fiddle? And he tried to get Les Horner to quit on me too, but Les wouldn't do it because Les Horner was my second cousin, you know. Well, anyway, what happened then was, at first, Les used to play the bass fiddle. Well, anyway, yeah. So then Ned quit playing the bass. So now what am I going to do? Oh, what am I going to do now? So then I seen, well, Junie had been learning to play the guitar, you know. I hadn't known that. So on a Monday night, Junie and I, we went down to Troop Brothers in Harrisburg. They're out of business already. A music store. Well, Junie had no money, had just got married. Drove a $25 car. The smoke came out up in the side of it, big hole in the floorboard. So I bought the guitar for him, a bass, and it was a good one, the best you could buy, a Fender bass. We came home, and we didn't have enough money to buy the case. So Junie worked in the shoe factory, and he made a case with some material there.
Mm.
Anyway, we came home at my place, and I had the guitar, and Junie had the bass, and then we figured out, you know, where to play the bass for the chords, you know. Boom, 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 here's the G chord, here's the C chord, here's the D chord. You know, you played most of the songs in a G or A, the square dance songs. Well then, that was on a Monday. Well, till Friday, Junie could play the bass. You know, come with the square dance.
Yeah.
So now he can't play the bass and call the square dances. Of course, Ned had called the square dance, but Junie could call it. So then the steel guitar player said, well, he says, I think I can play the bass. He never played it. He got up and he played that bass. And then Junie could call. I was so lucky. You see how lucky I was there.
Yeah.
Well, then that's how Junie started to play the bass then for square dances. Well, then we played there, square dances and stuff. And I guess I played the square dances, but I wasn't going out yet on show dates. So then when I built this house, you know, and moved down here, well then Junie stayed up there and got his own band and went around playing. So, and then of course I got a band down here.
Yeah.
So that's how Junie got to play the bass. Yeah. So see how lucky I was?
Yep.
There was no other bass player around because there were that few people, you know. And if there was a bass player, they didn't like Al Shade. You know, they have to like you or they won't play for it.
Right.
You know.
Yep.
Yeah. I like what you're doing. So, and I was constantly learning, you know. So, but that's the way that was. And Junie got to play the bass. Yeah.